Let's go! So today's video is going to be a lesson in predictability and why the offense for the Tigers had their issues. And today we're going to talk about a formation that I love because of its unpredictability, pistol, when a running back, of course, is lined up directly behind the quarterback out of shotgun formation. So why did LSU struggle so vastly in pistol formation? Well, we brought this up a gazillion times in our film study, and today this $20,000 software from True Media is going to help break this down even further. So I'm looking at you. Yes, you. Before we dive deep into this data, this actually was a Patreon exclusive, and I highly recommend you sign up to join our Discord community. And guess what? At the end of the month, we are giving away a Jamar Chase autographed jersey. What you're seeing here is the best teams in all of college football when it comes to pistol formation and just their raw output. So you'll see a few SEC teams in here. Florida's in here. Auburn is in here. Arkansas is top 30 as well. And that's not where we want to be. I mean, none of these offenses, these three offenses in particular, are all that great. Now, where is LSU when it comes to pistol formation effectiveness? 123rd. So bottom 10 in all of college football. Now, with all due respect, we only ran pistol 61 times, but that was 72nd in all of college football. So despite being 72nd in pistol usage, we were in the bottom 10, 123rd. Now, why was that the case? Well, let's take a look at the run-pass ratios when we lined up in pistol. All right, so think about it this way. The 61 times that we lined up in pistol formation, we dropped back to pass a grand total of 5 times, all right? That is not good at all, because if I know that you are running the football out of pistol, well, guess what? You're only going to average 3.5 yards per rush, because I know some variation of a run's about to happen. And the reason why I like pistol formation so much is that even without a good run game, the play action fake out of pistol is normally very, very, very effective, because there's so many different variations of the play action out of pistol you could do compared to just being out of basic shotgun. So let's go to Lane Kiffin, who many consider to be the best play caller. You'll see that in pistol, even though he didn't hardly ever run it, he dropped back nearly tripled the amount of times, and then he ran it only 25 times out of pistol. So a 2-to-1 ratio compared to our 11-to-1 ratio. Now, really think about that. If I know that if you line up in this formation 11 times out of 12, you are going to run the football, guess what? I'm probably going to stop you. Here's Ohio State, a team that was effective at a pistol, even though they didn't run it a whole heck of a lot. You'll see that they had 23 dropbacks out of pistol, and they ran the football 104 times. That is a 5-to-1 ratio, all right? Penn State, one of the most effective pistol teams in all of college football, you can see that they actually ran pistol quite a bit. They dropped back to pass 55 times compared to running it 209 times. Once again, a 4-to-1 ratio. Let's take a look at Arkansas, a school that we mentioned at the beginning of this. Arkansas, they're a good offense, not a great offense. They dropped back to pass 61 times, and they threw the football 201 times. Once again, a 4-to-1 ratio. The Florida Gators, they ran pistol a lot, all right? They dropped back to pass 81 times. They ran the football 248 times, okay? So once again, that's roughly what? A 4-to-1 ratio yet again. How about Indiana? One of the most best stories in all of college football. So the reason why Indiana is very interesting is that they were in pistol around the same amount of times as we did. They dropped back to pass 13 times, and guess what? They ran the football 74 times, okay? Roughly a 5-to-1 ratio. South Carolina, a team whose offense wasn't a whole lot better than ours. They dropped back to pass 30 times out of pistol, and they ran the football 73 times. So they, in particular, were really unpredictable out of pistol formation. Now, where did Joe Sloan get this unpredictability from? Well, it's probably from Mike Denbrock. Now, full disclosure, Notre Dame was actually really, really, really good at a pistol, but it's amazing how much of Denbrock's, I guess you could say, shortcomings, bled over into Joe Sloan. You could see that they also had an 11-to-1 ratio, okay? Dropping back to pass 10 times and running it 94 times. So about a 9-to-1 ratio. And then we get to Auburn. This offense, as many of you know, was just absolutely positively atrocious. They ran the football 75 times out of pistol and dropped back to pass 34 times. Now remember, they're one of the best pistol teams in all the SEC last year, and all of college football as well. That's because they were unpredictable out of it. They, 70-30, I could do some quick math here. That's about a 3-to-1 ratio, or a little less than 3-to-1. So very, very, very unpredictable out of it. This is where it gets really spicy. When you're in pistol, you mostly want to run the football. So let's just take a look at rush EPA, and you'll see that this gets even nastier for LSU, okay? That's the point. If you're a shotgun team, pistol, in theory, is supposed to help your run game get going. All right, so if we're not going to be under center, we have to be able to run the football out of pistol, and you'll see a negative 9.3 rushing EPA. Now, once again, we ran pistol 61 times last season. That's not a big part. All right, we're middle of the pack in all of college football and pistol usage. But you'll see the importance of unpredictability. So how is this actually supposed to look? Well, we talk all the time about sequencing. So here's pistol. Arkansas just absolutely abused Oklahoma State at a pistol. So I guess you could say the Cowboys were pistol whipped. Get it? Because Cowboys, pistol, whatever. So you get a big run here. And guess what they do on the very next play? So they had actually run pistol a bunch before this time, and I believe this is their first throw out of pistol. Guess what you do? Play action fake, and look at how open Andrew Armstrong is on this rollout. And guess what? You could throw this to Luke Haas for a big gain, or you could, work it down the field for another big gain as well. So you see how that works. All right, and then we get to another pass out of pistol, and guess what? Jaquindon Jackson back in the game. He's been abusing them on this play, and watch what happens on this 3rd and 4. So Oklahoma State stays in a too high shell, but watch what happens to this nickel. Arkansas out of 12 personnel, they're actually sending both their tight ends out on passes. This is not bad quarterbacking at all by Taylon Green. He gets a one-on-one outside. So this is always going to be there with your number one option. But take a look at what actually happens at the bottom of the screen. Let's just say the wide receiver here got swallowed whole. Well, Oklahoma State, they're so used to seeing Arkansas run out of this play. They had mostly exclusively run out of pistol. Guess what happens? They have a huge coverage bust here on the backside. So the safety, you could see his eyes are still on the quarterback. The nickel lets Luke Haas, the tight end, run free right here. And there's no telling if the safety was already just breaking over here. It's kind of hard to say unless you're him. But look at this. This is wide open as well. So you see why it's important to not just run out of a formation. And so we showed you screenshots of this play earlier, and I want to talk about this player, Chris Paul, and he has been a thorn in our side. I'm so glad he's going to the NFL. So he spent the first 2 years at Arkansas, and now he's with Ole Miss. Now, the reason why he is relevant, because he actually exposed backup quarterback Michael Van Buren in a bad interception that Van Buren threw. He's only a true freshman. I'm not mad about it. He was with Mississippi State. Hopefully it'll be different at LSU. And basically what Chris Paul said about Michael Van Buren is he watches a lot of film, as in Chris Paul. He picks up tendencies. So basically, this is a film study play. This is not a blitz at all. He just knows. All right, notice he's already breaking basically before the snap even happens. You can see how downhill he is. He knows that this is going to be an outside zone handoff to the strength call to the field on outside zone because we're in pistol. So because he gets this head start, watch what he does to Miles Frazier, a guy that's going to probably play in the NFL a long time. He blows this whole play up by himself. He is 100 pounds lighter than this guy, and he's a very good player. Don't get it twisted, but he blew this whole play up because he knew what was coming. So I'm looking at you again. Don't forget, join our Patreon because we have a defensive study that's exactly like this video where LSU needs to improve stopping the run. We'll talk to you soon, baby. Let's